Application update, take 9,000,000 because I'm dying. Okay, good morning everyone. So, unfortunately, it is now like 2 days since I actually recorded the previous update because I have literally wasted 2 entire mornings trying to film this video. Now, the reason why I've just wasted that time is because I wanted to make a video that would really give you guys an insight into what I'm building, right? So I actually just finished building the entire first version of this API, which is going to power the social network. And I thought, well, I want to really build this application for the user, right? Like that's everybody's goal, especially if you're involved in user experience design. The whole cornerstone of UX is building for the user. The user should always be at the forefront of what we design. And so I thought, God, what better way to build an application that's truly for the people, you know, with the people, than to like include you all in the build process, to actually show you the code, show you how I'm building this application that all of us will be using soon to hopefully improve our languages and to build meaningful relationships and connections with people around the world. And so I wanted to make this amazing video where I would like explain web applications and everything, and then also demonstrate how the code works and what the API can do. But I had this crossroads where there's 2 things: explaining how web apps work and giving you guys a bit of insight into that, and demonstrating this API. Now, what I've decided, I think it's more valuable to actually give those of you who have never had a chance to see how a website works or how software works in general. I'd rather educate you all, and so you can actually have a chance to see maybe for the first time how an app really works, rather than sit here demonstrating a back end of an application for 10 minutes. Because here's the thing. Let's actually just jump in and I'll explain everything as we go. So over here on my computer screen, as we can see, this is actually the application currently. So this is the project, and this is where the whole application lives at this point. Now, I love building full stack applications where I basically build the back and the front of the application. We'll talk in just a second about what that means, because I have spent months thinking carefully about the data architecture of this application, thinking about my models over here. What does a user look like? What data do I need to collect from people? I don't want to collect too much. I don't want people to feel like I'm collecting too much data about them, their gender, ethnicity, these things. I don't think these are relevant or necessary for me to collect. But I do need someone's name, right? I need their email address. So I have to think very carefully about the data structure of this application, right? We are all going to have a profile. So I have to think carefully, well, what should we have in a profile? And so on, right? So, but first let me just sort of talk about, so I say that because I want you to know how serious I'm taking this project and how I'm really genuinely thinking about this so carefully. And I've been reading, like if we go over here, I've been reading tons of articles all about user experience and user research, and you know, I'm preparing myself for the launch of this application, because that will just be the beginning. When this application goes live on the web, that will be the beginning. It's going to be a solid year of tons of work to be done, looking at user feedback, trying to understand my user, trying to understand what you guys like, what you don't like, where are the painful parts of the experience, because the whole goal here is to make writing enjoyable, right? Because writing is inherently beneficial. It can help us all of our languages, but writing is kind of hard. It takes a lot of effort and there's friction involved, and so people don't do it enough. So I want to create a beautiful, seamless, enjoyable writing experience, but that's going to take time, and I have to take that seriously. So that's why I love building full stack applications, because I love to think about all this stuff and think about the back end. But then here's the client, which is empty. I'll explain what that is in just a second. I also get to think about the design, the experience. And I love that. I love getting to be the closest advocate for the user as the designer, but also sort of the back end mind thinking about how this thing is built. So now I'm just going to explain to you front end versus back end for those of you who don't know. So most of us that use the web as just typical users, we experience the front end of applications. We experience what's called the client. So here's a client over here. This is Medium, and this is an article I was reading about the UX cycle. And then another example, like here's Patreon. This is my Patreon page. And by the way, I've been writing posts. I wrote 2 posts in the last week. And I really try to make them interesting. I try to put nice photographs on them. And I'm really trying to ramp up my content and how much I engage with all of you who are supporting me on Patreon. So this is the client, right? But the thing is, let's say I go to make a new post. That's why I chose Patreon. Now, let's say I write a post, like my first post, and I blah, blah, blah. When I click publish, something happens to this post, right? It has to go somewhere. It has to be saved somewhere. So although we are currently experiencing the client side, we're experiencing the front end, right? This beautiful page has been designed by some wonderful team of designers over at Patreon. But there's also a back end. There's something behind it that we don't see that sort of dictates what happens when we take certain actions, right? So if I were to click publish, this post is probably going to be saved to a database somewhere, right? So there is a back-end application, which is over here. Like, I'll give you a really quick look, just to, since this is more conceptual. Let's look at my post route. So there's something, I have something here. I created a route that dictates what happens when we create a journal entry. All right, and so I'm defining here all the things that happen, and then so we check, we have some validation, we want to make sure I have all this custom backend validation I wrote. We want to make sure that all the criteria are satisfied, but then we want to kind of grab that post, all the information. Here's the title, imagine that's this. Sorry, here we have the text, imagine that is this. And then we're also going to grab the name of the user, their username, their avatar. That's all. That's already available in the state of the application because I'm logged in over here. So and then we save that to our database. So the point is that there is front and back. In this case, we are going to be having a pretty robust JSON API that's all written in Node.js with Express framework. We're using MongoDB for our databases and Mongoose for models and schemas. And that's what I just finished building, right? So as of now, we'll take a quick look at the code, but I'm basically, before I was going to demonstrate, so I'll demonstrate one thing so you can see the application actually working. We can come over here and actually start our app. We can start the server. Okay, and now you see this application is running on my machine locally, and our database is connected. There's a real database online. And so let's say we're going to go to, let's look at our user routes. Let's just register a user so you can see. Now this is a tool here that allows me to actually take actions and sort of interact with my backend API without having an interface being this, right, the part that we usually see. So my original plan was to come here and show you guys, like, we can actually register a user. Now I have it all built up, so I'm destructuring what gets returned from this validation function I built. We're going to check and see, does this email address already exist? Has somebody already used it? If not, I create a variable where we store all the information from the sign-up form that you would fill out with your name, your email. And then before I save anything, I'm running the password through a cryptographic hash function. So we encrypt that password, and then we use salts, and we create a hash, and then we save that to the database. So let me show you what that actually looks like. So over here, we're gonna give a name. I'll put that here. Let's give her last name Jones. Now let's do like email. Let's say her name is sophie@jones.com. Her password is 56. I have lots of backend validation for passwords and stuff, but again, I don't think that's the most important thing. I mean, I can show you. So like, let's say that the passwords don't match, and you have to confirm your password. So everything works correctly. But look at this. Boom. We now just created we literally registered a user to the website. There is now a user called Sophie Jones that like on this application, and we can also log in. We can log in as Sophie. We just need the email and password for that. You can see that over here. Let's give it a try. And look at that, we logged in and we got back our special JSON web token, which basically this token is a very special thing that contains all the information about Sophie. And so if she wants to access a page that she needs to be logged in to access, that only she should be able to touch. Like let's say she wants to edit a journal entry that she wrote. Well, obviously only Sophie should be able to get to that page. This special token will live somewhere where most of us can't see it. That's what will allow her to access those private routes. So so there we go. That's sort of an explanation of how web applications work. We have the client side, the front end, and we have a back end. And I just finished building the first version of the back end, the API that's going to power our social network. So again, this video is really just about trying to keep you guys up to date, trying to include all of you, make you feel important, because you're an important part of this process. And this is not a common practice. I don't think most people building products or services are going to be like showing their users, you know, every step of the way, letting them see the code, letting them see how it all works. But I thought this is a really cool concept, literally building an application that really is for all of us and for all of you, with you, not just for you. So there we go. I really hope that was interesting. And if not, then next time I'll just actually show you when I have the client. So I will now be building the front end using React and Redux, for those of you who care. And yeah, this is very exciting. It is coming along. We now have a functioning API. We can log in. We can actually create a profile. We can edit the profile. We can create a journal entry. It already works. You can already do that. I could demonstrate that, but like I said, it just took way too long, and it's probably not that interesting for a lot of you because there's no interface, so it's hard to visualize. You can write a post. You can edit that journal entry. You can comment on someone's journal entry. You can delete your comment, edit it. You can like or unlike a journal entry. You can find, you can search for all public journal entries. You can find a specific journal entry. You can find a user by their handle. You can do loads of stuff already with this API. So it's really exciting, and it's ready for a beautifully designed front end. So that's going to be my next big goal. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for supporting me. Thank you for those of you who are joining me on Patreon. Like I said, I'm going to keep trying to provide more and more value for you, and I'm really making a huge effort now to write more posts and to give you the content you deserve. So, see you guys next time.